Good morning. So first, I'd like to invite all the young and the young at heart to come forward and get comfortable at home for a time for all ages. And a special welcome to our friends from Marlborough and Hudson that are joining us today. Good to have you with us. So today, we are thinking about how we can do a better job as a community in living out the dream of beloved community that Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. worked so hard on, so that regardless of our differences in appearance and skin color, in background and belief, that we can all love and support one another. So this morning, a lesson from the butterflies. Once upon a time, there lived 3 butterflies. There was a big red butterfly with big red wings, and there was a medium-sized butterfly with medium yellow wings, and there was a small blue butterfly with small blue wings. And they were the best of friends. They lived together on the edge of a meadow in a hollow tree. One of their favorite things to do was to fly across that meadow into a flower garden on the other side and to play in the flower garden all day and to smell the sweet smells and to drink the sweet nectar. So one day they decided to do just that. And they flew across the meadow. But, oh no, they forgot to check the weather, and they lived in New England. Well, pretty soon, big, dark storm cloud came from overhead, and they could hear the rain coming down. And they said to each other, oh no, we've got to find some shelter to protect ourselves and to protect our fragile wings. And one of them said, I have an idea. Let's go ask the flowers if they will open their petals and let us in to provide us shelter. I said, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So off they went, and they were flying in to the flower garden, and first they came upon a big red tulip. And the big red butterfly asked the tulip and said, pardon me, but would you please be willing to open your petals and provide us shelter from the rain? And the red tulip peeked out from behind her petals, and she saw the red butterfly. And so she said, oh yes, of course, come in, come in. And they started to go in, but then the tulip saw the blue and the yellow butterflies. And she said, oh, you look different than me. I'm scared of things that are different than me. Please do not come in. Well, the red butterfly, she looked at the tulip and she looked at her friends and she thought and she said, well, I don't want to go where my friends are not welcome. So we will look elsewhere. And so they continued to go on, and it continued to rain. And now they came to a yellow tulip. And the yellow butterfly asked the yellow tulip and said, "Please, can we come in and get shelter from the rain?" And the yellow tulip, also seeing the yellow butterfly, said, "Come in, come in." But then, just like the red tulip, she saw the other two butterflies and said, "Oh, you look different than me, and I'm scared of things that are different than me. Please, please do not come in." And the yellow butterfly looked at her friends and said, "I also will not go where my friends are not welcome. Goodbye." And the rain started coming down harder and harder. And they were getting really desperate, didn't know what to do. And they came upon a blue rose. And the blue rose saw the blue butterfly and that asked her if they could come in and said, "Yes, come in, come in." But just like the other flowers, when she saw the other butterflies, said, "I'm scared of things that look different than me. Please do not come in." And the blue butterfly looked at her friends and said, "I also will not go where my friends are not welcome." And so they moved on. But now it was really starting to pour. And the butterflies didn't know what to do. And the rain was coming down and it was drenching their wings. And they were down now on the ground. And they were in despair. Well, at just that moment, the sun was peeking out from behind the clouds. And she looked down at these butterflies, and she was so moved by the love and the kindness that they were showing to each other that she pushed the clouds aside and she shone down on the butterflies. And the butterflies, it felt so good to them, and they stretched their wings and dried their wings. And they flew home, and they lived happily ever after. Friends, like the butterflies, we need to learn to live together as one people, or we will perish together as fools. In the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Amen. And welcome to Wondering Questions about Time for All Ages. So the story you just heard is The Butterfly Friends, and it was adapted by Elisa Davy Pearmain in a wonderful book she put together called Once Upon a Time, Storytelling to Teach Character and Prevent Bullying. So I want to invite you to think about what the butterfly friends were doing when they said, I don't want to go where my friends are not welcome. No, thank you. Because they were really sticking up for their friends, right? Their friends were being disrespected because of the color of their wings and the color, of who they were as butterflies. And this is something that we can do. So if we notice that people in our class or friends or neighbors, people that we see in public, if we notice that they're being treated differently because of the color of their skin, then we can find ways to support them and stand up for them as well. I have some wonderful resources on this, and I've sent some emails out to your parents about this, and so I want to invite you to think about it. And if you have you ever seen anyone treated differently because of the color of their skin? This was what Martin Luther King Jr. was so concerned about, and was working so hard to make sure that people were able to have all the same rights and privileges, even if they had skin that we call black, instead of skin that we call white, which I don't really have. It's not really white skin that I have, but I'm called white, and that's called my race. And this is another important conversation that I want to invite you to have, is to think about race, because race scientifically doesn't mean anything. It actually, it's a social construct, but yet it's really important to talk about race. And socially, race is very important. And so we talk about people as having a race either that's black or white or Asian, or different, like Pacific Islander, different native to different areas. And again, even though historically and scientifically it doesn't really work, that's not how our species evolved. That's not how our one human race evolved. And skin color is related to melatonin. It's pigment. And it's not connected to any traits or characteristics. But yet, people are treated differently sometimes. And so it's important for us to be able to identify and notice the diversity, the beautiful diversity, and to actively seek out and appreciate that diversity that we see in skin color and appearance, and so many other, individual characteristics, and to make sure that people are not treated differently because of that, either by ourselves, by accident, or by others. So I'll be sending out some wonderful resources. And in the meantime, I invite you to, to find some great picture books, and to that have some diverse characters in them, and to start there for some great conversation. Bye-bye.